lovely Facebook family. Happy Friday. First, I want to go ahead and start by saying thank you to every person who took the time out. Hey, Kamisha, every person who took the time out to watch the first installment of Healthy Love. It meant a whole lot to me. I got a lot of great feedback from it, and it just inspired me to continue and keep going. So I'm happy. I'm happy for everybody that reached out to me. All of the newcomers who will be coming to watch it, I appreciate you. Tonight's installment for Healthy Love, the second one, is courting versus dating. Is there a difference? If there is a difference, what is that difference? We'll also talk about when to start, which is basically, are you ready? And then what does it look like after you've determined that you're actually ready to start dating? So everybody who is getting on here, hey Jordan, everybody who's getting on here, you will see me looking down a lot because I have it in a notebook, and I was trying to condense everything that I wanted to talk about because I can go on and on about this topic. So if you did not tune in last week installment was about self-care. It was about knowing who you are, knowing whose you are, and also what your responsibility is to your family. And if you have children, what their responsibility is to the children, what your responsibility is to those who are connected to you. So in light of All-Star Weekend, I do want to make sure I keep it within the 30-minute or less time frame, okay? So, and if you want to be able to watch it, go ahead, and it's like a little button in your left screen that you can hit that, and it'll make the screen smaller, and you can continue doing whatever you want to do on your phone, or just have it playing through the house while you're getting dressed, whatever that is. Hey Diana. So I got the thank you out the way. Like I said, the content, we've already reviewed it. If you're just now coming in, Diana, the content is dating versus courting. Is there a difference? If there is, what is the difference? When do you start? And what does it look like after you start? So, is there a difference? Hey, Michelle. Is there a difference between dating and courting? This is a question that I got asked often through my process, and the correct answer is no. There really is not a difference between, it was like, oh well, why are you saying you're courting? What's the difference between dating? There's really not a difference. The difference is you. So dating and courting should be the same thing, but the reason that I say that they're not is because it's determined by the person. For an example, society has got us in a habit of making everything convenient, making everything casual. So 2018, 2019 form of dating or courting is very casual. Oh, well, when are you ask somebody who's been together for a few years, when do y'all get married? Oh, well, that ain't on our mind. We just, we just having fun. We just kicking it right now. If you just having fun, you just kicking it, in my mind, and you call that dating, that's the world's form of courting. When you take it and you say, well, I'm dating with a purpose of marrying this man or marrying this woman, you have now decided that you're going to be courting this person. And there is a huge difference in how you go about your relationship, the things you do in that relationship, and the things that you talk about leading up to the point of marriage. It just looks different, and it will help a lot of us if we understand that there is a difference. So if you're doing this casually, then you are following the world's way. And as I said in my first installment, I am here for those who do not want to do things the world's way. They are believers, they are Christians, and they're saying, hey, I realize I'm doing this the wrong way. I need help. However, I just don't know where to start. So that's why I'm here. So we already determined that dating is more casual, where courting or dating with a purpose is the intention for us in the kingdom of God. So then we move on to, when do you start dating? The real question is not necessarily when, but actually no, before I go there, If anybody is taking notes, or if you go back and watch this, what you really want to know is, why do you want to date? Why do you want to court? Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to be with a person? Why do you want a companion? Why do you want to be in bondage? And I say bondage lightly because when you are unmarried, you have certain freedoms that you don't have when you're married, and vice versa. When you marry, you have certain freedoms that you wouldn't necessarily have when you are unmarried, right? So first you want to determine your why. If you're wanting to get married because you're tired of being by yourself, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for you. If you're wanting to get married because you're lonely, this isn't going to work for you. If you're wanting to get married for partnership, if you're wanting to get married because you want people to see the kingdom of God on earth, that's a reason to want to get married, okay? So when we talk about when is the appropriate time, we want to know why. Why do you want to do this? And then two, you want to know, are you ready? Okay? And are you ready means, are you ready for marriage? But prior to that, are you even ready for a relationship? Okay, so I'm gonna, like I said, all of this is about me, hoping that it'll help y'all. So prior to me getting married, prior to me meeting my husband, I was in an on-off relationship for about 12 years. Then I went into other relationships, and those did not work either. I remember dating a guy, and this is along the lines of, are you ready? I remember dating this guy, and prior to meeting him, I had already recognized some errors in my own ways. I had already determined and made up in my mind, okay, I realized that when I get upset, I can snap. I can go over the roof, okay, and over the fence, and it's difficult for me to come back. So when I got into the relationship with this young man, and we had a disagreement, I said I didn't address the disagreement. Instead I was like, you know what, it's okay. I'm not even gonna worry about it because I don't want to get there. And I kept saying that I don't want to go there. Like, just let me not talk about this topic. Let me just come back to this later. And initially he was understanding of that, but then some topics he wanted to discuss right then. So I'll never forget that we were in the middle of a disagreement, and I would not let him talk. Okay, I was just so, I was livid. I was livid because when I have a point, I do want to get that point across, right? So I was very upset. And in the middle of our argument, and this goes into, you want to make sure you with someone who believes like you believe too, because this could have went a different way. But in the middle of our argument, he says, pause, wait a minute. Who did this to you? Who bullied you in conversation? Who wouldn't let you get your words out? Who wouldn't let you express yourself? Who would, like, who? And I sat back and I thought about it, and I was like, my mother. And not that she's not a bad person, but when in my household, whatever your parents said, it went. There was no talking back. There was no, wait, let me explain myself. There was none of that. So I didn't realize until 2013 or whenever that was, 2000, whatever it was, I didn't realize until then that something so minor, something so basic in our normal day-to-day living as a child affected me in my adulthood. Didn't know that it affected me in my relationship until that point. And then another example happened. I was taking a nap, and my children was watching Beauty and the Beast, and I'm halfway embarrassed to say this, but it's okay because God has helped me, right? They was watching Beauty and the Beast. I had fallen asleep during the movie. My daughter, at the time, she was 6 or 7. She came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, Tanisha, tapped me on the shoulder, woke me up out of my sleep, and said, Mommy, you must control your temper. Wait. Say what now? It's okay, Tanisha. We just going over dating versus courting. If there's a difference, and it's really not. Dating is more casual. Courting is with the intention of marriage. So just catch you up a little bit, and you can go back and watch the rest. But my daughter looked at me and she said, Mommy, you must control your temper. And I woke all the way out my sleep. And most parents would have gotten upset. Most parents would have told their child to shut up. But at that time, I was seeking God's face. And God's voice come in the form of many different things. And you can't shut people up because it's not what you want to hear. Okay? So when she told me that, I immediately started to say, okay, God, it's showing in my children. It's affecting them to the point where my children are correct or wanting to correct this in me, right? So my thing was my attitude. My thing was my mouth. So I'm challenging my viewers and the people who are watching this on a regular basis. Find out, while you're trying to figure out if you're ready for marriage, find out what your negative attributes are. You have to know what they are, because if not, you'll take them into your marriage, you'll take them into your relationship, and things will begin to die, and you don't know why they're dying. And it's because there are some things you have not filtered out of you. Okay, so again, I'm looking because I'm trying to be respectful of time. So when to start, we're talking about when to start dating, and you wanting to know if you're ready to start. Okay, so the next thing you want to question as far as if you're ready, and I do see some married people on here, so you're more than welcome to chime in these comments to help the unmarried people. But it's really not, these lives are really not about getting you to marriage. It's really about cultivating yourself and allowing God to work in you so that you're ready if he has it for you. Okay, the next thing is, when we're trying to determine if we're ready for a relationship, you want to question how you treat your family. Okay, how do you respond to your parents? How are you cultivating relationships with your siblings, your cousins, all of these people? And it matters because that's a indication of how you're going to talk to and cultivate relationship with your spouse or with the person that you're in relationship with. So if you can't get, because think about it, your husband or your wife will be the closest thing to you. So if you can't even cultivate proper relationships with the people who are closest to you right now, how will you do that in your marriage? And even now, truthful, honest moment, even now I have to remember where God brought me from and take my time, even sometimes in responding to my now husband, because those old things should have died out by now. But everything does not die out. Some things are a process, okay? But that's not a reason for you to prolong any of it. Okay, so I have to even now take my time in responding to my husband, because if not, I'm going to bring up the old man, and that's not okay. So how are you treating your family? A lot of us, we've heard the saying, oh, well, how a man speaks to his mom and treats his mom is how he's going to treat you. I know y'all have heard it. And the truth is, that's pretty much accurate, because I can see how my husband communicates with his mother when he's frustrated or when he's happy or when he's had a long day, and I can see that that's how he will respond to me. And I remember, if Miss Janice is on here, I remember reaching out to her and telling her, I appreciate how you raised him, and I see that the way that he treats her is how he treats me. He treats his mother very well. Okay, so you're saying, okay, well, is this the person? Am I ready? How are you treating people? And if you're looking at that woman, how's she treating her? How is she responding to her mother? Is she like, oh my gosh, it's so aggravating? Is he yelling and cussing his mom out? Because 9 times out of 10, we're going to yell and cuss you out. Is that how you want to be talked to? Okay, so in there, are you ready? How are you treating family? Now, these things are about you. So let's not focus on the other person, but you can see certain things in that other person as you build relationship with them, right? The next thing is, how do you respond to conflict? Are you pessimistic? Are you nonchalant? Are you sarcastic? Okay, hey Laura, we're talking about dating versus courting, what it looks like. And if you're ready, right now we're in your if you're ready stage. So how are you responding to conflict? If you have an issue with your brother or your sister, how are you handling that conflict? Are you completely avoiding it, or are you facing it? How are you handling conflict with your parents or with a friend? Matter of fact, with your friends, are you being sarcastic? Because my children brought up the definition of sarcasm, and it's really hateful. So how are you communicating and talking to people? Because that matters. When you get angry, what does that look like? Are you screaming at the top of your lungs? Are you cursing? Are you running out the house and getting missing for days on end? Okay? This matters. And while we're talking about it, I encourage you to think about your prior relationships. Don't dwell on them, but think about your behaviors in those prior relationships. What were they? Because if you don't acknowledge them, you can't correct them. And if you can't correct them, you can't get better. And you can't get better for the work you need to do for God first. This is beyond relationship, right? But it all ties in together. So, how are you treating your family? How are you responding to conflicts? And all of these things indicate how you're going to treat and respond to your spouse. Period. Because everything that you're doing now in your singleness pours over into your marriage. You can think you're going to change when you get married if you want to, but you think about a flower. And you think about that seed. When you put that seed in the ground, it takes time for that flower to grow. It takes time for that flower to bloom. And if it's weeds in that grass, it can make that flower die. So you want to think about all of this prior to your next one, because if you got weeds in the grass, are you pulling them up? Because if not, it's going to choke out what you're trying to accomplish later on. And I say that to also say, hey Denise, to also say you want to give yourself time to cultivate certain behaviors inside of you, but also give yourself time to filter out all that hurt, filter out all that frustration, and make sure, you know what, I realize watching this, I don't respond to my family well. I don't respond to my brother well. I don't respond to my sister well. Let me start working on this attribute or this characteristic in me now, so that when I get married, I'm not treating my husband this way, or I'm not treating my wife this way. Or if you ain't trying to get married at all, when you get in your assignment, let me not treat the people who are helping me this way. Okay? Like, it all ties in and it all matters. So it's not when do I start dating, but it is, am I ready? Am I still hurt? Am I still bitter? Am I still frustrated? Am I still not rightfully dividing what people are saying to me? Am I still avoiding issues, or am I facing them? Because you will have to communicate. And that's a topic that we'll have in a few weeks, is how are you communicating with people? Okay? Third thing is your disposition and your demeanor matters. Okay? Is your disposition or your demeanor, is it positive or negative? And I want to bring it to you this way. When you get into partnership, okay, because that's what marriage is. When you get into partnership and your demeanor is off, how do I explain this? Let's say you go through a tough time in your marriage or in your relationship. How are you going to respond? Because if right now in your singleness you respond to trials in your current life, oh, I just cut myself off from the world, that ain't gonna work. If you cut yourself off and you're not talking to those who are involved, that's not gonna work. So what is your demeanor like? Is it positive or negative? And then, are you a person that have to have things done a certain way? I was. If it was, I felt like my ideas were really great. If my ideas were not taken into consideration, I would get highly offended. Now, through my process prior to marriage, I know now that there are more than one ways to skin a cat. And just because my idea is not the one that is used doesn't mean that something is not going to get done. Okay? It doesn't mean that, and now, especially because I'm the wife, so it's different if you're the husband, but especially because I'm the wife, I can't go in all the time and bogart my husband's ideas as far as things that he said he wants to do for the family or how we're going about something. I am his partner in it. So if he say, hey, you know what, I think we should talk to the kids about this, or I think we should do this weekend, I can throw my ideas in there. Or like with his business, for example. Oh, I want to do this, that, and the third regarding my business. I can't go in there and say, oh, no, I think you need to do it this way, that way, and the third, and my way is going to work. No, I have to sit back as that wife and either watch it work or watch it fall sometimes. And if he comes to me and say, hey, well, what do you think about this? That's my time to share, right? So what does that demeanor look like? And then, are you patient? Are you, or are you impatient? Are you just, oh my God, I really want to get a man, and you just compromising all over the place, and you rushing this guy or you rushing this girl? What does that look like? Are you patient? Is your disposition a patient disposition? And then finally, what fruit do you bear? That's what I want to know. What fruit do you bear? Because when you're in a marriage, when you're married, your marriage should be a reflection of God's love for his people. Did I word that right? Your marriage is a reflection of the relationship that God, this is how I see it, is a reflection of the relationship that God desires to cultivate with his people. We are here as married people to show everyone that unconditional love is possible, that sacrifice is possible, that you must die every day. You got to be able to die daily. You gonna have a hard time. I'm sorry, I done made it out of focus. That might have been just for me, but you got to be able to die every day. So what fruit do you bear? In Galatians, it talks about the fruits of the Spirit, okay? And the fruits of the Spirit basically your fruit translate into what your natural product of, is the natural product of a living thing. The natural product of a living thing is fruit, okay? So what fruit do you bear? Okay. Now, if it would be very unrealistic, or would have been very unrealistic for me to say, oh, my husband needs to be like this, his attitude needs to be like this, and then I have poor fruit. I'm a rotten apple, or I'm a nasty tasting orange. You can't do that, right? So you have to make sure that you are fruitful. Okay, give me a second. I gotta turn this off. You have to make sure that you're fruitful. And if you're not, let's say you determine, you know what, I have this bad piece of fruit right here in me. Well, simple math is a factor equals a product, or whatever, however you want to word it, but it equals a product. So what made you get to the place where you're producing this negative piece of fruit? Okay, this bitter piece of fruit, this frustrated piece of fruit, right? What products played a part in getting this? What factors played a part in you getting this piece of fruit? It could have been molestation. It could have been rape. It could have been screaming and yelling in your house. It could have been someone dismissing you. It could have been rejection. It could have been whatever. It could have been abandonment. It could have been not having enough. But whatever it is, whatever that factor is, got you to the product of what you are right now. So if you don't like the product of what you are right now, go ahead and trace it back to the factors. Okay? There was a book I read, because like I said, mine was Attitude. There was a book I read by Joyce Meyer, and it talked about changing your attitude. And in it, she broke down how to get to the core of why you are the way you are. And I really need to find the name of that book so I can share it with a few people. But it's so important for you not to avoid the core. The issue is we're going back and forth with people because we're ignoring the core. We're going back and forth in our marriages and our relationships because we're ignoring the core. What factors produced what you are producing right now? Okay? And the weeds in that grass are the equivalent to your sinful natures. So you need just think about those things. If you need to come back and listen to this and pause there, it's important. So your fruits of the Spirit that you really want to start working on is first love. And we're starting by listening to the Healthy Love series. So you want to be able to cultivate love. You want to be able to cultivate joy, that peace, that patience, that kindness, that goodness, that faithfulness, that gentleness, that self-control. And if you can be honest with yourself and just like those basics, this is for kingdom living anyway, but just those basics, are you cultivating even the fruits of the Spirit? Because those are the minimums. Those are the minimums. And he requests and he requires for us to be able to cultivate those things. I don't have my book in here. Let me see, because I got stuff. let me see if I can go over to it real quick. In Galatians 5:22, 23. Give me time, y'all, because I didn't bring all my books back here. Is that it? Nope. Give me a second. So in there at the end of it says that Christ has crucified all of these things in you. So when you accept Christ into your life, those old things are supposed to die. So now let me ask you this. Although if those old things in your life have not died, have you truly accepted Jesus? If the old you have yet to die, have you truly accepted his lifestyle? Have you truly accepted him in your life? Because if you have to then start to execute his lifestyle. Okay? So the next thing is, if we're talking about if you're ready to start dating, because if you have a lot of no's to these, y'all, you're not ready, and it's perfectly fine that you're not ready, because you get the opportunity to go ahead and build yourself up in the Lord. Okay? The next thing is, so we talked about, are you ready for marriage? How you're treating your family, how you're responding to conflict matters, your disposition and your demeanor matters. Now the next thing is your finances. Let's talk about this money. Okay? How are you with finances? Are you reckless or are you responsible? I have been on both ends, and I'm grateful that I became responsible prior to marriage. Because I was the type of person, because I do hair, so I was the type of person to do a customer, go spend all my money. Do a customer, go spend all my money. Because in my mind, I can get it right back. Easy. Okay? So, are you reckless or are you responsible? Because so many different things go into marriage. But finance is a huge part. Right now, think about your current situation. And I have like 5 or 10 more minutes. Think about your current situation. Are you in debt? Are you asking God to give you somebody? Oh, just make sure his finances are in order. He need to get rid of his debt. Have you? Okay. Now, excuse me. Are you, for the guy or for the girl, are you keeping a job? Are you in and out of the job market? Do you have bad work habits? So let's think about, are you in and out of jobs because of you, or are you back and forth with jobs because of your employer? And sometimes, most times, those of us who are in and out of jobs, it is us. It is not the employer, it is us. So are those your habits? Because that makes a difference in your marriage when you're talking about you got rent to pay every month, bills to pay every month, and one of y'all are inconsistent in your work. Or maybe even both of y'all are inconsistent in your work. Hey, it ain't going, listen, that ain't healthy. That's not okay. So, or are you a person who has the money to pay your bills and you hold on to your money to the very last minute and then you pay your bills? Stuff like that matters. Unequally yoked, and equally yoked does not just mean in your belief system. Okay? How are you with your finances? And then one thing I want you to think about is, if you're a person who says, well, I'm in and off of jobs because I'm an employer, I'm not an employee. I'm in and off of jobs because I'm a person that needs to have my own business. Clap, clap, clap to you. It's wonderful. However, that still speaks to a character flaw in you. Because what it says is you have the patience for your own and your own thing, but you don't have the patience to help cultivate someone else's thing. And that's a problem, because when you get into a relationship, both of y'all gonna have goals, both of y'all gonna have visions, both of y'all gonna have dreams. That translates to say, I'm patient and I'm consistent with my own goals and my own dreams and my own visions. But what happens when your husband and wife have something that they want to pursue? Can you have that same diligence and drive that you do for your own thing, for their thing? Okay, that's what you want to know, and you want to find out so that you can determine if you're ready for marriage. Because y'all, I'm not kidding, I have not been married a year, And I can see how a lot of the things that I read and I studied and I pulled on God for, I can see how if I didn't take care of this early on, this would have been legit an issue in my marriage. So much to the point where, and I can be honest with myself, so much to the point where knowing the type of man my husband is, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to separate from me if I had not taken care of some of those things. I'm glad God showed me and gave me opportunity to work on me before him. And I'm still learning and working on me. But now it's moved more from a unmarried woman to now, what is my role as a married woman? What does that look like, right? So are you financially stable? Can you hold down a job, or can you at least hold down some income? Okay? Because you need coins for this marriage. The next thing is your spirit. And I don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this because most of you all go to church or read on your own or do some type of study. And I know this because I'm talking to a lot of kingdom people. But if I'm not, you do a lot of reading on your own. Because some people are just, I'm just spiritual. And that's fine. But let's talk about your spirit. This is not even a question. This is what I want to tell you. Your spouse or the person you choose to court absolutely deserves someone who's spiritually mature. It's not even a question. And if you're not ready for marriage. You're not ready for a relationship. Because if your spirit is not strong, what are you going to do when issues start to attack your marriage? What if you start to have a Job experience in your marriage? If your spirit ain't strong, you don't even have the ability to recognize that this is a spiritual issue and not a me and my husband issue. I want to say month 3 or 4 in our marriage, DJ and I was just looking around like, hold up, the house ain't right. Like, what's going on? And he came to me later. He said, I appreciate you being a godly woman. I stood in my living room and I called everybody in for a team meeting because I saw the attacks on my kids. I saw the attack on my husband, and I saw the attack on me. I pulled us all in that living room, threw oil everywhere because I was spiritually strong in that area. So we talk about, nigga need to be bringing something to the table. What are you bringing? Are you bringing these fruits of the spirit? Okay? Are you bringing spiritual warfare? The ability to tarry? What are you bringing? Because if you aren't bringing these things, you are worthless. And I hate to say it like that, but I repeat so many times that marriage is so big, so much bigger than sex, sexual relations, and all of these things. And I was one of those people that was like, it is that serious. But for real, it's really not. It's so many different things that go on and happen that you have to be mindful of and have discernment for, and be ready to check people in the spirit and sometimes out of it. You get what I'm saying? Are you ready for that? You have to be ready for that. And if you're not, take this time. That's why singleness is a gift. It's not a curse. It's a gift because it gives you opportunities to recognize areas where you need God's help in, and have him go ahead and send that aid to you, be it by pastor, be it by mother, be it by sister, brother, whoever. He gives you time because the person deserves someone who is spiritually strong, y'all. And then if he's not spiritually strong, what happens when you say, we wait until marriage to have sex? If y'all not spiritually strong, listen, it ain't gonna work. It won't work. Okay? Last thing in this section is prepare. The word says, study to show thyself approved. And that is in all areas. If you're trying to get a degree, you're going to go to college. And in order to graduate, you're going to study, right? If, for instance, I'm taking piano lessons now. If I'm taking these lessons, if I don't study what I'm being taught in my lessons, I'm not approved. Y'all, like literally, the word is really basic. We complicate things. The Lord's sitting up there like, I laid this thing out straight, simple, and plain for you, and you just complicating it with your complicated self. Prepare. Before you buy a house, you prepare. Before you get a job, you prepare with a resume. How is it different from a relationship? It's not. It's not at all. So you need to be preparing. How are you building your friendships? How are you cultivating? Is it easier for you to build a relationship with a stranger than your own family members? That's a problem, because your spouse is going to be the closest thing to you. So these are things that you really have to pull out and address. And I encourage you to do it in your alone time. Everybody ain't got to know your business. I'm only sharing part of my business because God told me to, but I really don't even want to share the little bit that I'm sharing. Because nobody wants to know, or wants everybody to know, that they're flawed. But you need to prepare. And all of these areas that we talked about, your finances, your spirit, your disposition, all of these, start there. Because they all will flow over to your marriage, okay? So then, let's say we determine, okay, I'm good there, okay? I've cultivated these, I've prepared, I've read, I pulled on God, He's working on me, He's done what was necessary. Then we get to, what does courting look like? Really quick, when I was dating my husband, I got told a lot of times that I was being very extra. Oh, it don't take all of that. And what they were saying was, before we got together to start courting, I went to my pastor, and which that's one thing that people told me was extra, and it's not. Because yes, my father is in my life, but my father, if I went to him with someone that I was interested in being with long term, my daddy response to me was, whatever he said, whatever makes you happy. I'm happy as long as you're happy. That's a beautiful thing to say. However, when you are trying to live, hey Colette, when you're trying to live for God and you're trying to live for the kingdom, that's not the right mindset that you need. I love my father with all my heart, but that's not the right mindset. Okay? You need someone who's going to check you and the person you're trying to be with. So all of those closet relationships that you know what, y'all, pause real quick, because Colette, and I think Michelle was on here, a few people were on here that knew me through my process. So I just wanted to shout them out. But and knowing what it looks like is, I did not want as long as you happy, I'm happy. So I went to my pastor and I told him, because DJ had came and visited the church one time, and I went to my pastor and I said, I like him. My pastor, Charles Jacobs Jr., turned around and looked at me with the worst kind of "and so what" face. I still laugh because he did not care nothing about my feelings. And I appreciate that he didn't care about my feelings, because it's important when you are trying to have a relationship built on Christ. It's imperative that you don't have nobody in your corner that you agree with. Flat out. You don't want to have people in your corner that agree with you, because and that's the equivalent of all your girlfriends say, oh yeah, girl, go ahead and talk to him because he cute, girl. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and do that, girl. Tell me how it was. No, you don't need none of them in your circle when you're trying to have a kingdom-based relationship, okay? He looked at me and said, and what that's supposed to mean? He seemed like he a nice guy. He turned back around and said, stay friends. I can tell you, I called my pastor 1,000,001 times through my stay friends stage, okay? And said, how long do I got to stay friends? How long do I got to stay friends? Because he had not even released me to start dating yet. Now, my pastor took the place of what my father and I probably should have had. So if you have a father that will check men like that, let him. All of these closet relationships gotta stop, y'all. All of this, oh, I'm in a relationship and my family don't know who it is, and I'm not bringing them around my family and friends or my pastor and these people. If you're trying to have a kingdom-based relationship, you need to let somebody see that man. Because at the end of the day, I have it written down somewhere. I say, Lord, help me choose, because I ain't got good sense, and I don't have the ability to make the right selection on my own will. So I need some help. I sat in my pastor's office and I said, I'm not your birth daughter. And I understand that. I said, you have one daughter, her name is Mila Joy. I say, I need you to do me this favor. I like this guy, but I need for you to check him. as if I was Mila Joy. Straight up. I needed for him to check me, to check DJ as if I was his birth daughter, and he was making sure that no man was gonna come and get her unless he was ready. So guess what? There was some things that my pastor required of DJ that I would have never asked him to do. But that's the benefit of having another man in your ear and helping you. And that's the role of fathers, y'all, when it comes to their daughters. You're there to protect her. And that's what he was there to do. He was there to protect me, because my father, I didn't have that type of relationship cultivated with my own father, and that's okay. And that's fine. So it looks like you having an uncle, a spiritual father, someone there to help check them. Before, when I met DJ, I called him to come out to dinner with my mom and my stepdad. And I told him, I said, I can't even be your friend. Like, at this point, y'all, I was so over the top. I was in a little bit of areas, because I was not going to go through what I went through previously in my prior relationships. I was freaking determined not to do it. So I told him, I can't even be your friend until you come and meet my mom. And I wanted him to meet my mom, because anybody who knows my mother knows that she is going to, hey, Mira, my mother's going to tell her like it is. So if she senses something on a person, she going to say it. You ain't going to like what she's saying, but she going to say it. And she know you ain't going to like it, but she don't care. And she'll say she don't care. So I wanted him to go around her first. And after that initial dinner, and my mom may say, oh, he seemed a little funny, he seemed a little, I don't know about him. I was like, all right, cool. I can go ahead and start having a conversation with you. The word says guard your heart. So instead of build bridges and walls up, I just went ahead and put some people in place to help filter him through to me. And I told DJ, the only way you get into me is by way of my father. And that meant my earthly father, that meant my spiritual father, that meant my heavenly father. I meant every daddy I had. Because in that season, it was important, y'all. It was so important to me not to mess up again. It was so important to me. So know your history. And all of that, know where you fail at. Know your history. The word says flee sin. So if you know you can't Netflix and chill, don't go to his house. Don't have him come to your house. I didn't see DJ's house until I met him in December. I moved out of my townhome in September of the next year. So I ain't see his house, the inside of his house, until 9 months later. He was washing my car for like a year, and I had never been in his house, not even to use the bathroom. Matter of fact, when he came to work on my car, I was surprised he took me serious, because I was kidding, but I was serious at the same time. He came to work on my car one night. And he called, he was like, hey, I'm finishing up a customer. I'll be over there to work on your car. Because that's how I met him, right? I was on the phone and I said, listen, bring you some water. Make sure you use the bathroom before you come, because you're not coming in my house. Straight up. You ain't coming in. And I was dead serious. So when he came and worked on the headlight, when he knocked on the door, he stayed. It was 30-something degrees outside, or colder. He stayed outside. He did not even cross my threshold to get paid. I was a little extra. But it's okay. Know where you failed at. You got pregnant because you was Netflix and chilling. Don't have no niggas at your house. Go out. Be out in the public. Make sure you got some friends around you. Invite people with you. Some of y'all like, nah, if I'm dating a guy, I just want to. Nope. There's a difference between dating and courting. Because sometimes being around a group of people will help a group of people who live in, who can hold you accountable, will help you stay the course that you're wanting to be on. So if you know you can't handle things by yourself, don't go nowhere by yourself, y'all. It's basic. If you know you don't even like this person conversation, don't go nowhere with this person, y'all. It's basic. So, I wrote there, involve your father figure, whoever, especially if they're spiritual, especially if they do not spare your feelings. You do not want to employ anybody in this role that usually agrees with you. It's just not okay. Not right now. Not right now. Just cut everybody off. They will say, oh yeah, he cute. Oh yeah, he nice. No, I don't need y'all right now. I don't like his spirit. I need Something ain't right about him. He need a little bit more time. He ain't ready. So I want to end now. And here's your, really briefly, on the first live, I did get a request to go in more detail about daddy issues, parental issues, because someone didn't even know that they had those things, and they wanted more information on how to get over it. How do you overcome it so you're not taking it into your next relationship? So what I will do is I will have like a midweek on Wednesday to address that. Okay, hopefully that helps. Hopefully they're watching. Hopefully that'll help you out. So midweek just to address that. And if you want something more in detail on this one, I'll go midweek. I'll usually do those midweek just so I can keep on track. So flee from sin. That's what it looks like. Know where you failed at and do the complete opposite of it. Everything you did in your other relationships that failed, start off by doing the opposite. Just start there. So here's your call to action. What qualities do you need to work on? Think about that. What qualities do you need to work on? How can you go about doing it? Okay, we talked about that flower taking time to bloom. Do not get frustrated in this process, y'all. I had a come to Jesus meeting between 2000 and 2012. I didn't get married until 2018. Okay, so just go ahead and just take your time and learn you first. Okay, before I leave, I'm going to read 2 Peter 1 verse 5, okay? Because this is going to talk to you a little bit about what your process should look like right now, because all of these things are vital. So 2 Peter 1 and 5 says, and beside this, giving I mean, be on work from last week. Just keep watching. And beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge, and to your knowledge temperaments, and to temperaments patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness character. Okay? For if these things be in you and abound, they make you that ye shall neither be barren or unfruitful, in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. So that literally ties up everything that we just talked about. And knowing who you are, you have to revisit where you came from so that you don't make those same errors. My pastor says a lot of the times, know where you failed at. It's important so that you don't do it again. If you keep attracting the same type of people, take inventory on the characteristics of those people so that you know what to avoid moving forward. I appreciate every last one of y'all who have tuned in to the live. I encourage you, if you missed something, go back and watch. I definitely encourage you to meet me in these comments after this video. I want to hear your feedback on the video, what was helpful for you. Take that homework, take those call to actions very serious. Pull on God. So real quick, Father God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for each and every individual, married and unmarried, desiring marriage and those who are not desiring marriage. I appreciate everyone who listened on today. I appreciate that you are now cultivating the spirit of obedience and faithfulness inside of them on today. Lord, the areas that they see that they need help in, God, I pray on starting tonight that you go ahead and you start to visit them, and you, as they seek you out, you go ahead and you give them the characteristics and attributes of you so that they can be ready and prepared for what it is that you have for them in their future. In Jesus' name, amen. I thank y'all. I'll see y'all next week. I'll announce the day and the time. Appreciate it.